Hey guys, Lytane here, and thank you for checking out this video. Now, little known fact about me is that I read every single one of the comments on every single one of my videos because I love those comments and I love hearing what you guys think, and then I love replying to them all. Yeah, pretty much all of the comments I've ever gotten, I try and reply to. I love the discussion, I love it, so thank you for all of those comments that you've given me in the past. Now, over on my Cloverfield Paradox review that I did a few weeks ago, a person by the name of Literally Shaken suggested that I watch a movie called Circle, so I did, and now I have to review it because that's how it works. So thank you, Literally Shaken. This one is all because of you. So let's see if Circle is worth it. Circle was released in 2015 and is a low-budget sci-fi horror film released straight to video and streaming services like Netflix, which is where I watched it. Circle starts in a strange room full of people standing on red circles. They are arranged in two circles with one behind the other, and they all face a semi-sphere in the middle. There are also two circles of triangles along the floor pointing to the other red circle, so I think I see why the movie is called Circle. It turns out that there are 50 people in this room, and upon waking up, you are to play a game. In this game, you aren't allowed to leave your circle, and you aren't allowed to touch anyone either. Doing so will have dire consequences. When everyone wakes up, the game begins and people start dying. Every 2 minutes or so, a countdown can be heard, and when it stops, someone is killed. At random, you might think, but it's discovered pretty early on that each person can vote for who to kill. Whoever has the most votes will die. Thing is, you can only see your own vote, so you have no idea who is voting for who. The group has to decide who to vote for, try and get to know one another, and figure out what's going on, and how they can survive this game. With women, children, a pregnant lady, old people, young people, black, white, Hispanic, there is a very diverse selection of people here. Each one has a voice and a vote, so it's all fair and square. Oh wait, no, I should have used the circle part. Circle is a low-budget film, and it really shows in some areas and it really doesn't show in other areas. Take the set design, for example. The majority of this film is in one single room. That's it. That shows a little bit of a less budget because they don't have enough to go around to different locations and film in all different places. But the room that it is in is actually well designed. I like the very popping red of the tiles that they're standing on and the room above. I like the menacing black semi-sphere that's in the middle of the room. The costume design all is fine. It just looks like people in normal clothing, so there's nothing too crazy there. I think it all looks fairly nice, even though you're in one room for pretty much the entire film. It's not a bad looking room, so they did use their budget to at least make one room look really good instead of trying to half-ass like lots of different rooms. With such a simple set design, the two main focuses of this movie are its story and its characters, so let's start with that story. The basic idea behind the movie is very good, though not super original. A bunch of strangers are in a trap where they have to kill each other, and this has been done before, but I don't think it's ever been done in this particular way, and I can't think of if it's ever been done on this scale either. Because of this, it's very easy to grasp what is happening and follow along with the characters, most of which don't even get names. These people talk about what they suspect and what's happening in such a way that you could follow along and accept what they're going through. So let's get to the characters of the film, and this is where I have a little bit of a problem with it all, because they're all one-note stereotypes. There is a black guy going, black people have rights and racism and all that kinds of stuff, and he doesn't actually have much depth to him aside from that. There is a white businessman that is homophobic, sexist, and racist, and that's pretty much all he is. We have an old guy that is just like, I just want to live even though I'm old, and that's pretty much his entire story. We have a child that doesn't get any kind of like growth or backstory aside from she's a child. Because of this, every character is extremely shallow, and that's not good if you're just going to use a whole point of like stereotypes and, you know, isms to display your characters. It doesn't leave a lot of depth and nuance to anybody. There are a few characters that do get more lines than others, and they become a little bit more noticeable as the film goes on. A few have a little bit more going for them than their initial stereotypes, so they're like a note and a half, but that's about it. It's usually really clear who will die next, just based on who is talking and what they are saying, because they usually say something that will piss off other people. It doesn't take much for the people to die either. Sometimes you just say one wrong thing and then you get killed, even though you were nice and everybody liked you before that. Sometimes the death is literally random, and at other times it feels like it's random because it just doesn't make any sense, and I go, why did that character die? There's even a few times where they do some fake outs with certain characters dying or not dying, and it takes a really long time to actually reveal who died, and this can become frustrating as well. But the big problem with all of this is its pacing. It is extremely fast paced, but slow at the same time. Every 2 or so minutes, someone will die. Now, this 2-minute time frame is actually really skewed across the entire film, because sometimes it actually doesn't take 2 minutes, it takes closer to 5, and then there's other times where it takes like 30 seconds between the deaths, and they all say it's like, oh, it's been 2 minutes, but because of this skewed time, you never know exactly when somebody will die. Usually it's either 3/4 or at the end of somebody's speech or talk or something like that. So there's one lady that gives her entire life history, and then pretty much when she's finished talking, oh, that's when the vote starts. And then there's another time where they've just started talking and discussing who to kill next when the timer goes off. So the pacing is really, really off. Because of this really hard and fast-paced film, I think they were trying to get it so it was exciting and all that kinds of stuff, but instead, you just get so much happening all the time, or at least so many deaths happening all the time, that you can't really focus on any particular character and give them any kind of growth. That is why everyone is so shallow. There just is not enough time between deaths to develop any single person. It doesn't help that the last third or so of the movie is really repetitive, as the characters keep talking about the same thing and talking in circles. I know in real life these moral dilemmas that they are talking about will pop up, and they would need to be discussed, but most of the film doesn't try to bring up new elements or views of those moral dilemmas. Early on, people decide that either the child or the pregnant lady should survive. It's an altruistic point of view, and it's not wrong or right, because we have other people that think all life is important, so everyone should have a right to decide. Just being young or just being pregnant should not be the only factor for who survives. Both sides have good points and can be argued either way, but this movie isn't articulated well because these people just die so quickly. From here, I would like to learn more about these two groups and what they think, and even from the pregnant lady that a lot of the fighting is happening, but we barely even learn a thing about her, not even her name. A person in the group who is an ass, by the way, says that maybe if the pregnancy wasn't planned, or maybe the product of something bad, that maybe she shouldn't be the one to live. She claims it wasn't anything bad, but the way it's delivered actually leaves doubt to her story. I'm not trying to belittle her choices or say that pregnancy is bad or anything like that. I'm just saying that as a character, she only has one single trait, and instead of exploring her and what she represents, the movie doesn't go anywhere with it. It even asks some of these questions at certain points, but then instead of going into it, they just have to focus on something else, or someone will die, and then they just have to look at something else because the person that started that line of questioning is now dead. The ending of the film is a bit... yeah... like, it's not the greatest ending of the film, but it is kind of what I expected to happen in it. I saw a lot of the ideas and stuff that were coming along, and I was intrigued from beginning to end, so I did wanted to see how it ended. And the ending, although it was a bit disappointing, it also was not. They do have some concrete answers to some of the questions that get raised throughout the film, but they don't answer everything, like why is this happening, or who was actually doing it. Those questions are left unanswered. Maybe they were setting it up for a sequel or something like that, but no, at least it's better than having a vague, crummy ending, because endings like that in these kinds of movies really annoys me when they have a generally good idea, but then they just don't end it. Those are really frustrating. At least here, it is ended. Personally, I would have liked if the film had fewer people in it and the time between deaths was longer. That would give more people time to shine and develop character. Having 50 people that die over every 2 minutes or so is very fast paced, which can be exciting, but it comes at the cost of that character development. From what we learned in The Circle, I thought that at least one, maybe two of the people had been in a circle before, but that isn't explored at all. The reason why this is all happening is not explored either. This movie is meant to show a cross-section into humanity with its good and bad traits, which it does do to an extent, but not to the level it should have, and I think this is mostly due to it being 50 people instead of, say, like 20. In my opinion, I think that Circle is not worth it, and I think it's because this is a really shallow film. All of the characters are just a stereotype and they don't have any kind of growth to them. They have no kind of development and they just remain the same at the start as they do at the end. There are plenty of ideas and themes that are brought into this film that just aren't fully realized or explored, and they did have an opportunity to go into some of them and then they just choose not to. Perhaps some of these questions were too hard, which is why those people get killed off, or perhaps they didn't know the answers, or maybe they just wanted people to think about these things in such a way, but I don't think it was done particularly well. If the movie had fewer people and it wasn't so fast paced with the deaths every 2 minutes, I think that they could have gone into more character development and gone into more drama for all of which was going on. I think that with a smaller cast and a smaller idea, this concept could have been more realized, but from what we've got, yeah. The thing is though, I was actually interested the entire movie, even though I don't recommend it, because I'm one of those suckers that just want to know why things are happening. So there are certain people that will enjoy this film, and for the most part I actually did. I just wouldn't recommend it to everybody. There are certain people I would recommend it to though. So if this movie did intrigue you and pique your interest, go and have a look at it. You'll know if you like it in the first like 20 minutes or so. And if you don't like it, then oh well. So guys, tell me what you thought about Circle. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you even know about the film? I didn't until I got recommended this film by literally shaking. So if you guys have any other recommendations for sci-fi or horror films, then please give them to me, especially if they're on Netflix, because that makes it so much easier for me to get access to them. And I really like sci-fi and horror films, and I love people recommending me stuff, so do so, and I'll check it out, and maybe I'll do a review on it where I'll give you guys a shout out. So yeah, or you can just tell me what you thought about Circle. You know, that's cool too. So whatever you want to say in the comments below, that'd be fantastic. Don't forget to subscribe as well, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! This is a review of a movie. It's called Circle and it's of sci-fi. It has a bunch of people in a room and they will have to vote who will die. Ba 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 bum.